The information provided on this show does not, and is not intended to, constitute legal advice. Instead, all information on this show is for general informational purposes only. The information provided is not a substitute for legal advice, and we recommend viewers consult an attorney for specific legal matters.
Welcome to Condo Craze and HOAs on our YouTube channel. Boy, that is loud. I'm very loud in my own ear. But anyway, it's Friday night. What are you doing? You watching us? It's 8
First
o'clock.
Friday night gig in the history of the show. I know we're all over the place. We'll explain.
We have serious ADHD. But anyway, we're happy to be with you. We're happy you're with us. And we couldn't do this show without our sponsors, whom we love. We're on every Sunday now at 11.
Yes.
We're back to Sunday.
All right, so let's talk about that right from the get-go. You had a change at work. She's got to wake up at like 3 in the morning now. So there's no way we can, do this show on Thursday nights, which we wanted to any longer. So I will tell you this: wherever I go, in terms of doing the seminars all around the state, you know what everybody says to me? We want you to go back to Sundays.
There you go.
Rob went through the trouble of taking a survey.
Yeah.
And the survey came back, 2/3 of the people wanted us to go to Thursday night.
Yeah, and so did the polling for the president's election.
We switched to Thursday night.
Yeah.
Everybody's complaining about it.
Yeah.
And then, coincidentally, you're the one that, say, can we switch to Sunday?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
So
I think the poll was rigged.
the poll was rigged, right? So bottom line is, today will be the last night show. A week from Sunday, we go back to Sunday mornings, right? Right where we started, right where we always
11
been.
a.m.
And right in our sweet spot, okay?
That's right. It's our
So that's where we will be starting a week from Sunday.
Sorry
No, all good.
for all the chaos.
Look, we would have had to cancel again for Thanksgiving.
I know.
So sometimes during the week is just
Then
difficult.
you were teaching seminars.
I was teaching, right.
It was like a
so
whole
you know
thing.
what? Sundays we never had a problem with. Sundays it is. Sorry for all the confusion over the last month or so. But I think we've, again, found our spot. It always was our spot.
For 15 years.
Right. So we're good.
Okay. And our sponsors are still with us, and they are truly the best, just like the best services that we get in South Florida, including our diamond sponsor, Best Roofing. You swear by Best Roofing.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Do my home every year. They do so many of our clients. You have no idea.
Yeah, they do.
Never
They
had
do
a
more than
complaint.
just roofing.
Yeah, they just finished my roof.
They did?
condo.
Oh, they did. They did your roof as
Oh,
well?
man.
Phenomenal job.
Fantastic, Rob. Fantastic. That's great. Good to hear.
Good to hear. Excellent. A little.
I will tell you this, at PD, it's now PD
Plug.
Concrete. Rob, that commercial that you made, it's on every second, on every channel. It's unbelievable. The work that you did on that commercial, fantastic.
It's on TV?
Everywhere.
Oh, I have to see. Oh,
It was
my
on during the
God.
World Series. It was on during the baseball playoffs. What Rob did,
You're a
amazing
star.
job.
I
Yeah,
love it.
great job. Rob.
Wow. If you need a commercial done, talk to
Rob's your
Robert.
guy.
Air Robert. Okay, so again, I'm here, Karen Curtis, with Eric Glazer. He's board certified in Community Association Law. You've been all over the airwaves too. I've interviewed you several
Lately,
times.
yes.
on
You
iHeart.
interviewed me down here, and it winds up going all throughout
all over
the state.
Yeah,
So,
so
thank
it's
you.
very cool because someone else got arrested in the hammocks.
Yes, they did. It's never going to end, apparently.
Wow.
One rolls on the other, rolls on the other, rolls on the other. So that's what we see happen.
This was the accountant.
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a big arrest.
Yeah, it was. So anyway, you're board certified by the Florida Bar in Condominium and Plan Development Law. There's only a handful of attorneys who are. He has offices here in Hollywood and Orlando. I'm here each week to answer calls and emails about the issues that make life in your condominium or HOA absolutely crazy from 1 minute to the next. You can call us on the phone, 717-GLAZER-8. That's with a Z. That's 717-452-9378, 9378. And you can visit us, of course, on the Condo Craze channel here and ask a question in the chat box. Sometimes people ask
In
a
both
question
places?
yeah, both places.
Yep, okay. And again, don't forget to subscribe to two things. Number one, of course, the Condo Craze and HOA's channel on YouTube. We built up a great library, like I say every week. You want to research something, great resource source. And of course, subscribe to our email list. You get announcements about the show. You get announcements about our seminars, new changes in the law.
Everyone's happy about Sunday, by the way.
Everyone's happy. People are saying, look, that's what I want. You know, we thought we were going to accommodate the church crowd, and we tried to do it, and now everybody's like, you know, what I was the Antichrist, apparently. I don't know what to say. So we'll be back.
Well, they'll
You know,
go to
what
the
can I
8
say?
o'clock service and be done and ready for us
There
at
you
11.
go. All
Yeah.
right.
So you can also, don't forget, you can follow the show on Facebook, TikTok, Apple, Spotify, and also, what's it called? X.
X, yes.
So Elon Musk is going to do the same thing he did to Twitter. He gutted Twitter. He fired like
Unbelievable.
60%
It's
of it. He's going to do
incredible.
the same thing for the government.
Look, like him or hate him, what's coming up is going to be a wild ride.
beautiful
Yeah,
thing.
it's going to be crazy. We do a blog every week at HOA-condoblog.com. This week's topic, so you think there's no fraud in association elections? Read that blog. It was about a case that I personally did, about, I'd say maybe 20 years ago, where I was able to prove that the management firm deliberately participated in fraud to throw the condo election.
Really?
Yeah, it was a very interesting case because I think there's any other before or since where there was an actual ruling that the management company did it on purpose.
Really?
Yeah, interesting case.
Wow.
What was I saying? I lost my train of thought for a minute.
Well, I'll
Before we
tell you-
get going, yeah, go ahead,
Well,
sorry.
there was an interesting headline. They juxtaposed two headlines from CNN. One was the U.S. elections cannot be hacked, and then is why is there no outrage over the election being hacked?
Oh, so now they're saying it's hacked. I thought they're saying there's no such thing. It can't be hacked. you
I've
know?
never seen the United States more red in my
Incredible,
life.
right? I know.
Even California.
I know. California flipped some seats.
Even my state of Michigan finally got
yeah,
their act together.
Incredible, right? Hey, Bob, before we get going, I just want to do a shout out to those that attended our Orlando seminar this week. I wasn't able to get up there, but it was fantastic to be with everybody by Zoom. We taught almost 200 people by
wonderful.
Zoom. Everybody came up to the computer at the end. Everybody asked questions. It was phenomenal. It worked out so well.
Good.
So sorry I couldn't be with everybody in person, but it was an honor teaching all of you. So we're on hold a little bit with the seminars. They'll start again after the new year. So relax.
You're taking a
everybody.
break?
Taking a break for a little while, yes.
How dare you?
All right, like you said, what a week in American history. We haven't been with you guys since the
No.
election. And, you know, no matter what you think of Donald Trump, you have to say that the re-election last week, certainly clearly the most amazing event, political history event in my lifetime. You know, maybe the only thing you can think
Ever.
of. Yeah, I mean, you know, Nixon resigning. Other than this, you know, the comeback is insane because at one point when he was really down and out, when he had that mug shot
Yeah,
taken of him, did anybody think at that moment
I think he did.
he's going to come back? He probably did think
I think
so,
he
yeah.
thought it the whole way through.
Well, I think there's certainly an argument that helped him become the president.
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Keep giving mugshots. Keep, you know, arresting him. Keep indicting him.
shooting him.
At one point, he did make the joke. He said, you know, indict me one more time, I'll go up by 10 points in the polls again.
Yeah.
So he actually thought that every time they did that, and I think America saw it that way, that they were ganging up on him. And it came back to hurt the prosecutors. It came back to hurt the left.
But it's not
Yeah.
just that. Just watch what happens to this country now, in terms of
It's going to move. I know that. I know
He's gonna
Europe is
get it
taking
running.
a look. Yeah,
Yep.
it's going to be running on all cylinders. Let's hope it's going to run on all cylinders well. You know, you got to think, you know, if Musk fires 10,000 government workers, what's that going to do to the unemployment figures? There's a lot to, you know, think about. I don't know if you can do everything all in one
Right,
shot.
right.
You got to
Rip the
spread this.
bandage
Yeah,
off.
right. I don't know if you can do that with. Could it make the economy too fragile? A lot to think about, you know. But
True.
whatever's going to happen is going to happen quick.
well,
It
you
certainly
know,
seems that way.
and we won't talk politics the whole show.
Yeah,
But I just
right.
want to say, Kamala for 3 months raised $1 billion and ended her campaign $20 million
20
in debt.
million now, you know, I like.
That's like a
just say
microcosm
this,
of how
because
the country would run.
If you make a donation to Kamala, did you think that money was going to go to Oprah Winfrey?
No.
Isn't that
Oprah
crazy?
said it didn't, though.
Yeah, went to her staff. She said, or Beyonce. You know, think about that. You're paying. You want to give a donation. Do you think that should go to Beyonce?
No.
Really? Here you are. You're a hardworking person. You know, maybe you scraped up a few dollars, and your dollars that you scraped up to save went to Beyonce. Think about that.
Yeah.
You know, horrible.
But she needs it.
She needs it. Yeah, all the celebrities are a scam. They're not doing it because this is the person who they were supporting. They did it because they were getting $1 million for the appearance. So anyway.
Oh, by the way, someone
yeah.
says I voted for Thursday, and now I'm glad you're back on
On
Sunday.
The amazing thing here is this is only the second time in American history where a president has served 2 non-consecutive terms.
Oh yeah.
Now, that's amazing. And I'll say this, that's oftentimes how it works in community associations. What do I mean by
Really?
that? Yeah, I'll meet a board president, for example, who tells me, you know what, I was on the board for a few years. 20 years ago, I took 2 decades off, and then I decided to come back. So, you know, sometimes just like with Trump's scenario, you have
Right.
someone who's president, not president, and then comes back.
It's like having a baby and then you forget the horrible pain and you have another one. It's like, oh, I think I'll have another one. I think I'll go back on the board.
That's exactly right. You know, it's true, but that's how it works. That's where you see it happen.
So maybe they're 20 years older and perhaps they're retired and they have more time to devote to the community.
It could be, and I would think, you know, now that they're retired, they'd be better playing golf, tennis, traveling, hammering nails into their head rather than being the president. But that's their call. But now that the election is over, it's time for associations all over Florida to concentrate on their own elections because they're all coming up, basically. They all happen at the end of the year or January, February, basically. So let's have a conversation about how that process is supposed to work in your community. Today's show is to point out everything that you should know, and you should certainly have legal counsel work with you on the election process and have a few sets of eyes. If there's nothing else I could say, you should have a few sets of eyes making sure everything is being done timely and correctly. So I'm going to start us off today with a few things that you really need to be careful for. Do it wrong, you got to start over. So in a condo, that first notice has to go out to everybody advising you that, hey, we're going to have the annual meeting, we're going to have the election. That's got to go out 60 days before the election. And it's telling everybody, hey, if you want to actually run for the board, let us know. You got to send back a notice of intent to run. In an HOA, it's different. In an HOA, sometimes they ask for candidates in advance, but more oftentimes you go to the annual meeting and you do it right there. Okay, who wants to be on the board? Raise your hand.
Really?
Yeah, nominations are taken. You take the
It's
vote.
kind of like Kamala.
Right there, if you get a quorum. Okay? So, you know, sometimes different.
Okay, so sounds kind of simple,
Yep.
right? But just send out the notice of the meeting and you can say a lot of things can go wrong, though.
No question, a lot of things can go wrong. And, you know, here we go with just sending out the notice, things that can go wrong. And it can, again, require a whole new election and so much expense. The first election.
That's costly.
True story tonight. You know, Rob will tell you, he saw people working when he came in. We had a deadline tonight to get this first notice out, right, for one community we represent in Miami. And tonight was the deadline, 200-something units. It had to go out in tonight's mail. So we had people working here to get it done. But again, things that can go wrong. First notice went out too late. One thing that can go wrong, it didn't include a notice of intent to be a candidate. It contained the wrong dates that the notices to run for a candidate needs to be received back by. The wrong date for the annual meeting. It indicated the wrong number of director seats that will be up for election. And there's so many things more than that. And potentially, you make one little error on anything that we send out in the mail. Guess what? You're doing it again.
Like 5 minutes of preparation and organization can save you weeks of headache.
Get more eyes on it. That's the bottom line.
So if someone wants to run for the board, how do they send back their notice of intent to run?
So they get this notice of intent. You know, we send it out with the first notice to everybody, and we say, hey, fill this out and get it back to us. How can they get it back to you? In basically any number of ways. Let's assume the association gets it back by mail. They get it back by email. It's slipped under the door. They get it back by fax. Any way whatsoever that it's received back from the unit owner, you clearly have it in your possession, it's good. You got to accept it. Even if it's slipped under the door on a Friday night and you don't open till Monday morning.
Okay.
It counts. That's the bottom line.
Okay, now, if someone wants to run, they can send in an information sheet about themselves that has to be sent to all the owners, but suppose the association fails to include it in the second mailing.
That is an automatic.
And can you print it in Spanish on the back?
Interesting question. One page. 1 page means the front of 1 page.
So I can't put
That's
Spanish
it.
on the
Nope,
back?
good. Very good question. 1 page means the front of 1
Oh,
page. That's it. It's case arbitration cases.
so what
that say
happens if
that.
I did that?
You want to send it out in Spanish? Your decision. You want to send it out in English?
But
If
what
I get
if
it
I
in
send
2
it
page,
out front and back? Then what do you do to me?
then I can take it. I can
Oh,
crumple it,
okay.
throw it in the garbage, or, I can say, let's do it by. I'll make a copy of one side for you, but I'll try to get in touch with you maybe and say, hey, you did this wrong. But I cannot send out 2 pages.
I say, so they send it to you and then you send
Correct.
it out.
And then we.
So you're
well,
not.
sometimes the manager sends it out. Sometimes we do the
But
election.
you have to inspect
But,
it.
If the manager is smart, hey Eric, we go through this together?
Together.
Exactly. Yeah. But if you get back that if you did not send out a sheet, let's say somebody sends it back correctly to you, right? Well, yeah, person did it perfectly. It's all on one sheet, tells you about themselves. You screw up, you fail to send it out with the second notice, and it's too late to correct. Guess what?
No.
Do over.
Do
You're
over.
starting all over again. So it's a problem.
Wow.
Yeah. If the deadline, you met the deadline is over, and when the association knows everybody who wants to run, what happens? So now we do a second mailing, and it's that second mailing is supposed to be sent out between 14 and 35 days before the election, and not confirming this time requirement can create the need for a new election. Suppose the second notice is sent out only 13 days before the annual meeting. What happens then? New election. Suppose the ballot doesn't properly list the candidates in alphabetical order. New election. Suppose the ballot lists
In alphabetical order?
in
it has to be?
alphabetical order.
By the last name?
By the last name. Suppose that the ballot that you sent out shows who the current people on the board are. New election. So there's so many
Wait a minute.
different
So
ways.
the ballot, you screwed up and put the people.
That's right. So all of this can require a new election.
And also, the association has to send each owner several different types of envelopes.
Yeah, it gets confusing. All different kinds of envelopes, that's correct. But suppose there is a failure to include the words ballot only on one of the envelopes, and the owners just send their ballot back in the larger envelope. But that larger envelope is signed. Do you count that or not?
Oh, do you?
Suppose the outer envelope is not signed. Do you count that?
Can't.
You can't. So it's got to be signed. So there's just so much to know. I can go on like this all night
I'm
with
sure
all
you
kinds of
could.
different things, but there's a lot to know. Some associations require what's called voting certificates to be on file. What are those? When a unit is owned by a corporation or more than one person, how do you decide who gets to vote for that unit? And everybody's bylaws say this generally. There's a section in there. And the answer is by having all owners of that unit choose somebody to be the voter for that unit, right? And suppose the unit is owned by a corporation. How do you know who signs the outer envelope? How do you know that that person has the authority from the corporation to sign it? It could be the dog. I don't know if it says Fido, right? How do you know? Does Fido have the ability to vote for the unit? So the bottom line is every corporation, every unit that's owned by more than one person, sometimes even husband and wife. So even if it's husband and wife, think about that. Somebody lives in the condo, an elderly couple lives in a condo for 35 years. They've been voting, right? Well, I come in and I look. Did you guys know that your bylaws require that even if a unit is owned by a married couple,
only one.
So there has to be a voting certificate.
Yeah.
There has to be a voting certificate unless they both sign it. Did you guys know that? So there are so many things.
Oh, wait a minute. So they both can sign it?
They both have to sign it, appointing one person to vote for them.
Okay.
So if only one person votes, I have to say, wait, is there a voting certificate on file for them?
Right.
So if the answer is no, now what do we do?
Now what do you do?
They've been voting this way for 35 years.
What do you do?
So these are all different. Now I have to find out, did you use voting certificates in the past? A million different questions. All I'm saying is there are a million questions that can come up, voiding your election, making you start from the beginning, and costing you a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money.
Oh, yeah. You have to reprint everything.
Yes.
Remail everything.
And suppose you also went through electronic voting. You got to start that process over again, too, potentially. So it's a mess. It's a mess. And we spoke about working together.
Yeah.
Right? Working together with the manager. And managers, please know, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate all the hard work and the devotion that you put into the communities that you manage. But many of you you actually treat the communities better than you probably treat the place where you live. But here is the thing. There is a lot, and I mean a lot, to know. You need help from the association's attorney. Just work together. I'm not saying that, the attorney is much smarter than you. It's not what I'm saying. But there should always be
just wise.
two wise. Let's make sure that we're complying with the statute together.
Because you don't want to have to do it
No,
over.
we both don't want to look bad and have to do the election over. It just can really get complicated, and 4 eyes are better than 2. Especially in larger communities, it can get expensive, it can get complicated, it can get embarrassing. If you got to tell the client, uh-oh, we screwed up, all right, we got to start over. So how about just working together and
Get it right the first time.
Now, all we did tonight was speak about the problems of mailing the material out. Right? We didn't even get to the night of the election, right? Next week, we'll talk about all the things that can go wrong on the night of the election.
Okay.
And there are perhaps even more things than what we spoke
Now,
about
do
so
all
far.
condos have a uniform election time?
You know what? We'll talk about that next week. That's a great question to leave people hanging a little bit. Okay.
A tease, that's what we call it.
Yeah, right. Does everybody have to have it in the same month, basically? No. Does everybody have to follow the same procedures? Up until a recent decision by the DBPR, the answer was yes.
Oh.
Not anymore. So even though you've been doing your
there's a
election
season.
one way, generally the season. The season is last 2 months of the year, first 2 months of the year.
Oh. Okay.
Generally.
A 4-month window.
Yeah, basically what we're talking about. But brand new case, DBPR, that says you might be doing your elections a certain way, and you would think you're doing it the right way, and you've been doing it wrong according to this arbitration decision. You definitely need to tune in next week to learn about this new case.
And that'll be on Sunday
Yes.
at 11.
Especially if your condominium was built prior to the year 2000.
Why does the age of your condo?
Can't tell you, okay? Prior to the year 2000, you really need to tune in.
Oh, that's a tease.
Okay, all right, let's do this. Let's take our first break of the hour. We'll take your calls. We'll take your questions on the chat box. 717-452-9378. 717-452-9378. Back right after this.
There are very large management companies, and there are very small management companies. And I think Affinity sits somewhere in the middle of that, where they are big enough to provide you with all of the back of the house services, the accounting, the infrastructure, the support systems, but small enough to be high touch.
We believe at Affinity that we do the 9 to 5 so that you don't have to do that.
So welcome back to Condo Craze and HOAs here on a Friday night, and we're running late. We're all over the place,
We're
but
all over
we'll
the
be back
place.
on Sundays at 11 starting next week. So
Eric Solenstein writes in, this show is running like my condo board. Big mouth. Very nice. What do you want from me? Come on, we're trying. We're trying.
I know
We went to Thursday. Everybody wanted us to go to Thursday. And then we went to Thursday, and everybody's complaining, why'd you go to Thursday?
blame it on me, because women, we have a right to change our mind.
There you go. There you go.
Is it mines or mind? Anyway.
Mind. I think mind. Anyway, let's see. Let's go to the board a little bit. Actually glad it's back to Sunday, says Peg. Thank you very much. Michelle writes in, Sundays are my preference as well. We got any question here? Well, Michelle writes in, we the USA couldn't live like we have for the last 4 years. Go Trump, basically. All right, here's a question. If a condo year is from January to December, when is the budget supposed to be finished?
Good one.
Good question. So,
Like, when's the fiscal
right.
year?
So if your fiscal year is January to December, when should you pass a new budget? Typically, what management companies do, what boards who have their act together do, they, in November, have the budget meeting, right?
Okay.
So they start preparing the budget October, November, the latest, and the board votes on the following year's budget in November. So for example, right now we're in November, boards are voting for the budget for the year 2025, right? So you're giving everybody some notice, and on January 1st, 2025, this will be the new budget, okay? So that's how it works. That's the smart way to do things, at least a month in advance, okay? Steve writes in, question for you, if no one runs for the board, do you have to have an election? We are 121 units and are lucky if 20 people show up. So if nobody runs for the board, the current board that's in place roll over under pursuant to the rollover doctrine. So you're in there. Now, someone once came to me at my seminar and said, "You mean I could never quit if I keep rolling?" No, I didn't say that. You're not
There's
being
a
held
term
hostage.
limit.
No, you can quit if you want to, but you're rolling over. This guy was scared that I have to be on it forever. No, you don't have to be on it forever. You can actually
You're
quit.
shackled to
Yeah,
it.
exactly. How about we go to the phones?
All right, let's see who we have. First caller is Helen from Miami.
Hey, Helen, how are you?
Yes, hello, I'm great. Thank you so much for this. I love you. I've been certified at one of your seminars,
Thank you.
and it just found you fantastic. Also, if I could just say this, I was on a show back when you asked us if we wanted to switch to Thursday,
Right.
and I said no.
You were a no. You were right. You were right. You should be on your board. Absolutely. You know what you're doing. Hey, well, before we take your question, 2 questions.
Yes.
A, what did you think of the seminar? And B,
Excellent.
now that you saw it, do you believe education should be mandatory for directors?
Oh, I think that there should be, it should be at least doubled, if not tripled, the number of hours
Really?
that are
Wow.
mandated. Oh, absolutely. There's so much information to know.
I
And you
agree. I
can't learn-
taught a 4-hour class the other day, and I looked up with no questions. It was 3 hours and 53 minutes. I was actually talking for 4 hours. I didn't even think I can do that. My wife did, but I didn't think I can do that. It was amazing. 4 hours without a break. And do you know how much stuff I took out of the seminars over the years?
Oh,
So you are 100%
you're able to put
right.
it all back in.
If I put it all back in, it would be a 1-week-long course.
And then you've got people asking questions after.
Afterwards. I mean, I
mean,
agree.
You could go on.
Thank you
forever.
so much for that, Helen. How can we help?
Well, we had elections last night, so this is a apropos segment you have going today. And it's almost like a farcical episode of all the things that could go wrong, did go wrong. So I'll just go over a few of these, starting with the first notice of election that had the wrong date for when you submit your bios.
God, is this going to be a good
it
call?
has-
I just sense it. It's so in line with what we're talking about today. Go ahead. Wrong date.
Right. Now, it was corrected after I sent an email to the manager saying it was the wrong date, but it was corrected by an email, a mass email to unit owners, not by reissuing a first notice. So I don't know if that was proper or not.
No, it's not.
2 strikes.
So a first notice had to be resubmitted.
You can't.
Oh,
You can't.
okay.
You can't correct things by way of email. Period.
Okay.
That's the bottom
So
line.
just based on, I guess we have to have another election, huh? Let alone all these other things I have to
Well,
tell you.
do you like the results? If you like the results, leave it
No.
alone.
Really?
I do not.
Are you
So this
serious?
is what happened.
Yeah, I wouldn't challenge it if I liked the results.
In first notice, they were going to hold our elections by Zoom. not in person, which is also improper because you have to have ballots available.
Okay, so
for
this is
election.
great. Let me
Yeah.
stop you there. This is a great call. You are 100% right. You up to me because we were going to talk about this by next week, but you're right. I wrote a column in case anybody's interested on it, and you can find it by going on the show's website and just do a search. All of our blog, every blog I ever wrote, you can find it searchable just by topic. If you search for it, yes, I wrote a column 1 week about can all of your meetings be held by Zoom? And clearly, you are 100% right, Helen. Your annual meeting must be at a place where people can go and pick up a ballot, drop off a ballot,
punch
and they
each
have the
other
right
out.
to attend. Exactly. Okay? So you're right. Keep going. It's a great call.
So on top of that, we have traditionally had 5 board members. Now, there were 2 resignations over the years, so the 3 remaining board members, which is legal according to our declaration, you can have 3. The two who resigned were never reappointed in any way with new board members.
Okay.
So what the board did, because I guess they liked the arrangement, is they decided that the new election would only elect 3 members as opposed to the 5. This was never discussed at a board meeting. It was just announced in the first notice of election for the number of board seats available. So I don't know if that's proper or not either.
Let's stop you right there, okay? So your documents probably say something like, in terms of the number of directors, there shall be no less than 3 or no more than 5?
That's right.
Okay, so case law says that if your documents say no less than X and no more than Y, if there's not a procedure that it goes on to say how you arrive at the exact number, it just leaves you hanging, then the number is automatically 5. Okay, so you got to take a look at what your bylaws say. Okay, if it just says no less than X, no more than Y, but it doesn't tell you, well, how do we get to the number this year? How do we decide what the number is? The number is automatically 5.
That's what the brochure, the BBPR brochure says also. That
Yes.
It's 5. Okay. So then
She's trying
we
to
apparently don't have any voting certificates. And in this particular association, it's mostly investor owned, and some investors own up to 5 units.
Right.
So they're under LLCs, and it says in our declaration that there must be a voting certificate on file, as you were saying earlier, with the person appointed to vote. So because there were no voting certificates last night, those LLC ballots were discarded without the management ever having asked the unit owners to submit voting certificates.
Yes. Management company did it wrong, but there's an argument that you're supposed to know what's in your bylaws. You're supposed to know that you have to have a voting certificate on file. But sure, is it unfair to the people and you never told them, hey, you should have to file a voting certificate? Sure, it's unfair to them. Absolutely. But again, this is what happens.
But the onus is on the owner to figure it out.
The onus is on the, how many people sat down and read their freaking bylaws, right? Nobody knows that. Should the management company and the attorney send out a notice that says, by the way, I was working on this, I swear, just before I came here. Prepared a voting certificate for a condominium in Sunny Isles, okay? They asked me for one. And in the first notice, you say very clearly, you're required to sign a voting certificate. One is enclosed if you're a corporation, you're an LLC, the unit is owned by more than 2 people. So, yes, you don't go to the election and say we're disregarding it if you never filed one, because people were never told to file one. So, yeah, it's kind of like got you moment. You know what I mean? And it's just wrong. Helen, I apologize. You've been with us for a long time. Yes, go ahead. Quick, really quick.
Important question.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the most important part. So it ends up that we don't even have the 20% unit owner minimum voting. And the attorney at the meeting said, because of this, the existing board rolls over till the next election next year.
Yeah.
Now, I asked for statute. She couldn't give me one. But when I was Googling real time during the meeting, I found something that said that they could have postponed the meeting until more votes come in, or we could have an interim meeting before next year. And they decided just to wait for a full year and keep the board.
There's
Is that all?
all kinds of case law, arbitration case law that says if you don't get the 20% vote, people are just not interested, the board rolls over. All kinds of case law that says it. If you'd like, send me an email and I'll send it back to you, okay?
So wait a minute.
Okay. thanks
Helen,
so much.
thank you. We're running late. Let's take our second break of the hour, bottom of the hour break. I keep the calls coming in, 717-452-9378. Back right after this.
Rimkus Consultants offer the professional expertise to help condominium and cooperative communities provide safe, compliant buildings for their tenants. We have more than 170 Florida licensed engineers and architects who are experienced with local regulations and can assist with Senate Bill 4D compliance. We can help with milestone structural inspections, capital expenditure evaluations, structural integrity reserve studies, and developer transition reports. Focusing on energy, resilience, maintainability, and sustainability, our experts can help with every phase of the building life cycle. For mitigation after a catastrophic event, building restoration, repair and remediation consulting, or Senate Bill 4D inspections, please visit rimkus.com.
All over the world, people have plumbing problems. These problems can be expensive and destructive to fix. Have you ever wondered if there was a way to take care of your plumbing problems without destruction and an outrageous price tag? Welcome to Pipelining Technologies, Inc., where we specialize in fixing your problems without demolition and minimum cutting by means of pipelining. Pipelining is the ability to take a pipe damaged by root intrusion or long-term deterioration and make it new. By means of inserting an epoxy-saturated liner into the pipe and allowing it to harden or cure, leaving behind a brand new pipe.
That sounds great. How can I get pipelining in my home, commercial building, or condominium?
Simply fill out our online contact form and a pipelining representative will get in touch with you in a timely fashion, or call us directly at 561-853-5463.
So welcome to our second half hour of Condo Craze and HOAs on our YouTube channel. We're taking your questions in our chat box, and also you can call in. The number to call is very easy, 717-GLAZER-8 with a Z, 717-9374? No, 9378.
Yeah,
Sorry.
someone's saying something about a Condo Craze cruise.
Yeah.
All right, let me tell you something. It sounds like a nice idea for you guys, but when I go on a cruise,
You don't want
I
to.
want to go to the spa, I want to eat good, I want to sit by the pool. What do you think the chances are if we go on a Condo Craze
Glazer,
cruise? Right,
Mr.
that's
Glazer.
yeah, right. That's how it's going to
Mr.
be.
Glazer,
So-
on a board member and a recall meeting, can it be held in the Zoom remotely if the docs are big?
Just one quick question. Yeah,
You're like-
okay. No, and this one's
You're like-
easy. No, and you want to say if this one's easy, why the hell are you asking me? Right? You shouldn't. So that Condo Craze cruise idea. It sounds
Wait,
nice
you
if
could
there was a
teach-
way to be isolated, for like 2 days, and then on the third day.
What if
we
you
do
teach
the
a
cruise.
seminar on a cruise?
That would be great, but the other 2 days I
They're
have to
going to
hide.
be all over you.
Right. So we can figure out a way that I can hide. I'm in for it. I am really in for it. And yes, I'd love to teach on one of the days. That would be great. So, Rob, you're in charge of the cruise.
Sounds
Okay. Let's figure it out. Okay, let's look at some of the other comments here. There was a question about suppose we're in a state of an emergency. Can we reschedule the meeting? And that's a great question.
Oh, that is a good one.
Yeah, because
We have Sarah. We're like getting ready for
and
Thanksgiving.
then the poof, it went away.
Oh, she's
yeah,
gone?
she's gone. She's gone.
Oh, I
yeah.
didn't know that. Okay.
So if there's a state of emergency still in effect, all right, we're looking at Florida Statute 718-1265 for condos. This is a duplicate one for HOAs as well. Section 1B says the board has the right to cancel and reschedule any association meeting.
Okay.
So yes, okay. So if there's still a state of emergency in
Again,
effect,
safety.
yeah, correct. And is there still a state of emergency in effect for any of these counties? I don't know. I'm not going to say yes. I'm not going to say no. I have no idea. But back to the phones. We got a bunch of people waiting.
Yes, let's go to Jonathan in Tampa.
Hey, Jonathan.
Yeah, Eric and Karen, thanks so much. I had a couple questions, or at least that was twofold. First, I wanted to kind of know, what does it mean to ratify a decision as a board outside a meeting? And then second, we had a scenario this week where two board members had been resigned, the vice president and the treasurer, and we filled the position, but the president forgot to put people in roles at the meeting. So I got a text this morning about voting for a certain person to be a treasurer, and I felt that shouldn't have been done through email or text.
Okay,
But
let me.
instead-
There's two different things here. So your first question was, what does it mean to ratify something?
That's not in a meeting.
Okay, well, the statute
Outside
does
of a
talk
meeting.
about the word ratify. It basically means put it on the record that what we did before is what we want to do and it's the right thing. So, for example, the word ratify is in the statute to mean, let's say you want to take up, and the board is at a board meeting, and the board wants to take up an item that's not on the agenda, wasn't planned for tonight, but you want to take it up on an emergency basis. So there's a statute that says if you get a majority plus one, so if you have a 5-member board, you need 3 plus 1 is 4, right? You can take up that item and put it on tonight's agenda because you got the majority plus 1. But at the next meeting, you have to ratify what you did at that meeting, at that emergency meeting. So you say, okay, you can put it on the record that on such and such a date we did this, the board voted to do that, and we're ratifying it at tonight's meeting. So that's what the word ratify
Was your
means.
question to ratify it outside of a meeting?
Ratify just
so
means
basically we wanted to discuss the open position and put someone in treasurer and then ratify it at the next meeting. But
Well,
I say we should have a business discussion at a business meeting. in
okay,
front
hold
of the
on. It
membership.
seems like when you've put that treasurer on, right, and the vice president, I don't know how many people you put on, 1 or 2, but you're doing it by email? Were you emailing to each other or texting to each other?
Text message.
Okay, so
And the president is asking for 4 yeses or 5
okay,
yeses.
so what do we
think
know?
it's unanimous. by
The
the way.
statute says very clearly you can't vote that way, right? There's no voting that's allowed by email, texting, totally not allowed. You can discuss things. I teach it this way. Let's say you want to hire Joe's Gardening Company next week's hearing, next Wednesday's hearing. So everybody can email and text to each other. Hey, do you like Joe? Hey, do you like Joe? Do you like Joe? And everybody can say, yeah, Joe's great. Joe's wonderful. So Joe's hired? And everybody writes back, yes. Was Joe hired? Absolutely not.
Nope.
Does that vote mean anything? No. Why? Because that vote can't be done by way of email or text.
And even if you're
It's gotta
sitting
be
at the
done
same
at a
table
meeting.
and you didn't say anything, but you email each other, it still isn't.
Still isn't. Still not good. Correct. That's exactly right. You got to do it at a meeting that's properly noticed, and the unit owners have a right to attend. Okay? What you did is totally, it means nothing. You're not ratifying anything because the vote that you took is totally illegal. So you can't ratify an illegal action. What you're doing is voting on it for the first time. Got it?
Yeah, I mean, we typically ratify, maybe some kind of emergency repair or,
That's
even
something else,
frivolous
but-
things like choosing landscaping.
That's something else, but you can't ratify the illegal act of putting somebody on the board by texting to each other. It's a different thing, okay? Clearly different. You can't ratify an illegal
yeah.
act, okay?
Yep, and so that's not an emergency. The president wanted a treasurer to have the 2 sign off on checks.
Not an
for
emergency.
example.
You can wait 48 hours to do that and post a notice. Okay, an emergency truly means an emergency. All right, appreciate the call from
Okay,
Tampa.
thanks so much.
Who else we got, Rob?
Emergency means an emergency.
Means a
Could you
real
be-
emergency.
Could you be more specific?
No, I can't. That's the whole idea of being an attorney. I don't have to. Next.
Here you go. Let's go to Orlando. We have Juliet.
Julia.
Hello.
Is it Julia or Juliet?
Hi there. Thank you. I was at the seminar in Orlando.
Oh,
Very
I'm
good, very
sorry I
informative.
couldn't make it, but what'd you think about it?
Oh, awesome. Great. I was sitting there and I wish my other board members would come and some of my homeowners. So, you know, they'll know not to argue.
Were you the only one from your community?
I'm sorry?
You were the only one from your community?
Yes. Yes, I was the only one.
Oh, that's a shame.
She wants them to come so
people
they
had
won't
work
argue.
obligations and they could not make it. But
Well, we had
I did
200
take
people in the audience, so thank you so
and I was
much.
yes, it was very informative.
Thank
And also when we go to the expo, that's where we got some of our vendors from last year.
Beautiful.
So thank you for that.
I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
How can we help
Yeah,
tonight?
we got. So I have 3 quick questions. So we're an HOA. Can we do voting certificates, or is that only for condos?
Oh, no, no, no. It could be the same thing as well. Absolutely. It depends what your bylaws say. Take a look at your bylaws. Do the bylaws in the HOA
Okay.
require voting certificates? I'm sure, they do. It's typically less likely that you'll see LLCs owning.
Right, it's gonna be a
it's in a home.
homeowner.
Yeah, you typically don't see that. But it depends what your governing
We have a
documents
few.
say.
We have a in here. We have quite a number. We have 172 townhomes, and a small percentage are owned by companies or
And
LLCs.
there you go. Take a look at your governing documents, specifically in your bylaws. It will tell you if a voting certificate is required. Okay?
And also, so can we do bios also for people who want to come on the board like ahead of time, so they can send in that information?
Okay, interesting.
Or
Now,
on HOAs, do you just nominate? People can just nominate themselves, and they can.
Okay,
do
so
that.
if you
Yeah.
remember when we taught the class, the section on elections, when it comes to condos, the statute goes on and on and on about these mailing requirements and how many days you do this and how many days to do that and how you do the second mailing. You know what the HOA statute says? Follow whatever it says in your documents. That's it. One sentence, basically. So what do your documents say is the answer. Now, if you want to be nice and extend the people's ability to get to know the crowd or the crowd to get to know them by letting them send out bios about themselves, what's wrong with that? Nothing. Okay? Absolutely nothing's wrong with that. Some communities have meet the candidate nights, which is also fantastic.
Right.
Everybody gets a chance to stand up there and talk. That's when the fists really fly. Oh man,
I believe that's important because there are different reasons why people want to go on the board. Like if they're, if they're a realtor, they want to get there so they could get to know the homeowners. So pass out their real estate cards.
Yes.
They're a plumber.
So
different.
And then if you have
that's why it's good
enemies
to
and
know
your
the
enemy
real
wants to
reason why
run
you
for the
want to get
board.
Okay. All right. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank
Larry.
you so
Take
much.
care. Always.
Let's take our final break of the hour, 717-452-9378, or drop us a question or comment in the chat box on YouTube. We'll be back right after this.
In South Florida, the transition from bright sunshine to heavy rain and hurricanes can take a toll on your property's exterior and structural integrity. Cracked stucco, spalled concrete, they're more than eyesores. They can signal deeper issues. Now, with new Florida laws involving structural integrity requirements, we want to help you meet your milestone inspections and maintain the durability and beauty of your building. Since 2004, PD has been the trusted expert in structural concrete restoration, painting, and waterproofing for condominiums and commercial properties. Visit pd-concrete.com or call us today.
We are DMI Paving and Seal Coating, Florida's parking lot experts. We specialize in asphalt paving and repair, including pothole repair, seal coating using JC7 or polytar, concrete curbs, ramps, and walkways, and striping and pavement marking, as well as ADA compliance. We service commercial properties, including homeowners associations, apartment communities, shopping malls, warehouses, stadiums and arenas, and more. Experience is worth more than anything in an industry like ours, and our staff has decades of it. We have specialized equipment for any job, regardless of size, saving you time and money. DMI has a reputable history. We have been in business since 1956. We serve the state of Florida from 6 locations. Let us bid on your next parking lot project. Visit us online at dmipavingandsealcoating.com.
And welcome back to our final segment of Condo Craze and HOAs on our YouTube channel. Again, thank you for joining us on Friday night. There's a lot of you here, a lot of new people. We will be back starting next Sunday.
A week from this Sunday. We're
So
going
it's the
back to
24th,
Sundays.
right
Yeah,
before
we'll
Thanksgiving.
advertise
We're
it.
back to Sunday. Period.
Rob will let you all know. That's for sure. But we're back. It's it was like meant to be. We should never have left Sundays.
No, but there was a reason,
right?
and I'm sure that it all works out.
Yep. Look at this, what Lori went through. I was in the bathroom when they were entering my unit. That's scary.
Oh, wait a minute.
Right?
What?
Yeah, that's scary.
But they can enter your unit if they have a good
Under
reason.
the statute, they can only enter a unit in an emergency. Now, however, a lot of associations wind up doing pest control for the community.
Right.
So it's included in your monthly assessments, right?
Mhm.
So it's a good thing. And they have a key to your unit. But sometimes you can be in a position where, wow, someone's coming into my unit
And
I'm just not ready for it. So clearly that should not happen.
No.
There should be a schedule of when the pest control company is coming to your unit. It should be every Monday between whatever it is, 9 and 11. So you know, on every Monday between 9 and 11, be ready. Someone's going to knock on your door and ask to come in. And I hope that while you were in the restroom, somebody was actually banging on the door before they used the key to your unit.
Oh.
That, you know, if that happened to me, I'd be pretty pissed off. Get it? Pissed
I
off.
get it.
And I'd make sure that the association goes to a strict, rigid schedule. Okay? Back to the phones, Rob, so that doesn't happen. It's terrible, actually.
Can you imagine?
No.
All right, let's go to Marina. Marina Martin, maybe? South Beach?
Hey, Marina.
So big.
Hi, how are you doing?
How can we help?
Okay, first of all, I am a tax accountant, so of course I look at financials.
Yes.
And unfortunately, I realized that the financials that we receive from our condo association in South Beach is incorrect. Doesn't even follow GAP. So information that should be there.
Let me stop
there.
you. Let me stop you because I just want to make sure everybody understands what you said because you said it fast. They didn't follow GAP, okay? So, you know, people who are not accountants don't understand what that means. They didn't follow generally accepted accounting principles, okay? So now everybody knows what you're talking about. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I've got a lot of gaps in my bank account.
Okay, go right ahead.
So of course, the auditor gets, the CPA that comes gets information from management and gets information from the treasurer.
Yes.
But the board came in agreement with the developer where a certain amount of money should come every year. That has to go into the financial agreement.
Okay.
It's not. Also, after poking around, there is, for example, a certain amount of money, more than 30,000, they're supposed to be considered paid to a vendor, but nobody can find a check, nobody can find the invoice, and so there is this money that nobody knows why it's there.
Let me ask you this. Let me stop you. Hold on. Let me stop because I want to get to the point. Do you have any reason to believe that there's money missing, money was stolen? Or is it just you don't like the way the report is prepared?
Well, the problem is that when I ask for financial information, I get the cold shoulder. I've been accused to, all kinds of things. And I had to report this particular association because they were not returning him security deposits.
1 second, hold on. Are these reports that you're complaining about, are they done by an accountant?
Yes, they are. Yes.
You know, what can I tell you? Maybe you prepare it one way, they prepare it another way, and maybe neither way is incorrect. I don't know. But there's a board of accountancy in the state of Florida. If you think they're doing something illegal or wrong, you can report it to them. If you think money's missing, you can report it to the DBPR. And now, under a new law, the DBPR, if they see any signs that they're of potential criminal wrongdoing, they shall refer it to the local law enforcement authorities. They don't have a choice. They used to say, hey, we don't have jurisdiction.
That's
you, gone.
hammocks.
So it's shall.
Right.
Okay? Next call, please, Rob.
Was that from the hammocks?
That was as a result of the hammocks. Exactly. As a matter of fact, let's talk about that 1 second. Believe it or not, the hammocks was served with subpoenas by the state attorney's office for information, by Kathy Fernandez Rundle's office. Instead of complying with the subpoenas and turning over the financial information, you know what they did? You won't believe it. Rob, you won't believe this one. They sued the state attorney's office in federal court, claiming harassment, discrimination, all this kind of stuff, if you can believe it. Let's just say the federal court judge didn't buy it, right? And I was watching the hearings of the investigator for the state attorney's office. He testified in front of the Florida Senate, and I watched the hearing. How difficult it was to get records from this association. The senators were just like blown away that this was actually happening. So there's now a law in Florida. You wouldn't think you need it, but what does the new law say? When an association gets served with a subpoena from a law enforcement agency, 5 days.
5 days.
5 days.
That was the soundbite that I used that your friend heard in Orlando.
Oh, really?
That you gave me on the story.
5
days. The
days.
accounting just got arrested. Yep.
They couldn't.
5 days.
Couldn't believe. You would think that the association gets scared.
They
turn it
sued
over.
him in federal court,
Yeah,
dude.
in federal court. That's kind of where they got
That's
that from. I don't
ballsy.
know. Interesting story. One day, we get process servers here every day serving us because we represent associations.
Sure.
With a registered agent. So all kinds of mortgage foreclosure actions we get served with, slip and fall cases we get served with. So it's, just routine stuff. So one day, knock on the door, Mr. Glazer here, yeah, process server, we want to serve you, here we go. I don't even look at it. And I decide to look at it 2 steps and I'm going, what the hell is this? I just got subpoenaed by the Florida House of Representatives to be in Tallahassee.
Just now, really?
Yeah, that was like, okay, this is a little scary. And to appear with the following records and this and that. And thank God it was Julio Rabina. Remember Julio?
I do remember Julio Rabina.
Good friend of ours. So I called Julio and said, what the hell did you just do to me? You scared me to death. He said, all right, just get me the following records. And I got out of the subpoena.
Oh, thank
But
God.
yeah, that's, I can say I was subpoenaed by the House of Representatives.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Look at you.
Back to the phones.
And you've been before the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
All right, let's go to Gary in Miami.
Hey, Gary.
Hello?
How are you, Gary?
Hello?
Yes, you're there, Gary.
Hello?
Yep. One more time,
Barry
Gary.
or
Here we
Gary?
go. This is
Hello?
Elon Musk. How can I help you?
Is this Gary? Oh, sorry. Barry,
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh, Bear.
It shows up. It
Oh,
shows up
is
as
it Barry?
on the call.
Barry.
Barry, how are you, Barry?
Okay.
Barry, Indiana.
Good.
What's going on?
Yeah, quick question. The CSRS reporting form has an optional question to send in a copy of the CSRS report with the CSRS report, a copy of the CSRS.
Right.
It's optional. It's not required.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, and they don't tell you that it's optional, so a lot of people are going to send it in. They're going to think it's required. They're going to wonder what happens if I don't send it in. If somebody sends it in, can I make an official, a public information request to see that? Is that subject to disclosure because it's going to the state government?
No question in my mind. You'd be able to get that document under the sunshine laws for the state of Florida. Make a freedom of information request. It's in the hands of a government agency. Absolutely, I think you'd be able to get it. But why do they need it? Why do they need to see the actual CSRS report? I mean, is there going to be?
Well, it's crazy because they're going to get thousands of reports, and what are they going to do with it? I have no idea what they're going to do with it. They can't handle what they have.
Right. Then they're going to need
so they're not
hundreds
going
of
to be able
people.
to handle it.
100%. Then they're going to need hundreds of people reviewing those tens of thousands of maybe hundreds of thousands of pages. You ever see the CSRS report that's done right?
Oh,
it's
yes.
100. You saw yours,
Voluminous.
right?
Yeah.
Yours for your building, Karen,
Yeah.
was what, 100 pages?
Yeah, I sent it to you.
Right.
Yeah.
So could you imagine what Barry's saying is
No.
every condo in the state that has to do with CSRS sends it in. Who the hell is going to read that?
No.
Nobody.
Just give me a thumbnail sketch.
So what's the point, Barry? See, this is the type of stuff Elon wants to get rid of.
That's right.
Should someone sit there
No.
handling all of this nonsense, right?
No.
Reading it and scanning it in
No.
and putting in for no reason at all.
No.
There's just no reason for it. So Barry, total waste of time.
Crazy.
Nope, I think
Hello?
Barry hung up. Yeah, I think so. It's a total waste of time and effort.
One
Barry.
more
go right
quick
ahead.
point. I'm losing you, but can I make one more quick
Yeah,
point?
sure. Okay, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. With regard to the budget, I'm not sure that a lot of associations are going to be able to have their budget meeting in November. They may not be getting their SERS until late in the year, and they may want to have their budget meeting after they get the SERS. So they may want to have their budget meeting in December, and I think it's important to add what is the legal deadline for a calendar year association to have their budget approved, and it's December 18th. It's 14 days before January 1st of 2025.
So that's coming up. That's a month away. So let's say you're saying you don't get your SERS by then. You don't know what to do. You don't know you can be included in the budget. And if you hold it off, Barry, correct me if I'm wrong here. Let's say you say, okay, we can't do this now. So we're going to hold our budget meeting after January 1st. Well, if you hold it after January 1st, according to the statute, you don't even have the right anymore to waive the reserves.
Because SERS stands for Structural Integrity
Reserve Study. Right. It's just so confusing that, it was kind of rushed through.
But you don't have to have the reserves till 2026.
Well, that's for any budget passed after December 31st, 2024,
okay,
right,
I'm really
Barry?
confused now.
So it's getting very, very confusing, but this was rushed, very much rushed through. So what's the final take? What's your take, Barry?
My take is if you have your SERS prepared in 2024 and you adopt your budget in 2025,
right,
you can't waive the reserves.
That's what I just said.
Too late.
Yep, that's what I just said.
But I think you have to amend your budget. I think the budget for 2025 by law has to be based on the most recent SERS.
I think you're
and
right.
I think you have to amend your budget.
I think you're right. I know what we just said is very complicated for the people that are out there, but I maybe need to do a column on that.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Oh, I'm going to ask Barry.
Barry, you write it.
Right. Barry, if you give me a paragraph on that, I promise to put it in my blog.
Love it.
Because I think it's that important. Okay?
This is hilarious.
Yeah, we're running late. Barry, thank you so much. Always a pleasure.
Abby Kessman.
Sure, great.
Thank you, Barry.
Abby writes in.
Our first manager had the wrong address for the meeting of elections.
There you go.
I told her, and she said I was wrong. When she accepted her error, the developer/HOA told her to stand at the wrong address and redirect everyone.
Well, maybe it's an interesting question. Is it a question of no harm, no foul?
Imagine?
No, is it a question of no harm, no foul?
It's a treasure hunt.
Yeah, I would think. You want to know something? I don't know what the DBPR would say if someone signs an affidavit that said I was standing at the wrong address, I redirected everybody. The question is, how far away was one from the other?
Right.
You know, if the second one you now had to travel
pick up a
to.
clue, and then you go to the next thing.
Yeah.
And
to me, I'd want to know how far the two are apart from each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then there's going to be a
Are
distance
you making people
parameter?
travel another 5 miles to get to the meeting? I don't know. So if it's close, if you just, literally one door from another door, I would say no big deal. But if it was significantly different places,
Right, and they had to get transportation, right?
Then
That's
it's a problem. Anybody left?
Yeah, let's go to one call here.
Everybody's hanging in on a Friday night. I want to make sure we get
what
to
is
everybody.
with everyone?
I
Don't you have a
appreciate it.
life?
Yes, a matter of fact, before we go, predictions on the Tyson-Jake Paul fight.
I'm going with Tyson,
I'm
dude.
going with Tyson, too.
2 hits, he hits him, he hits the mat. Boom, I would
mean,
love that.
Bottom, have you seen Tyson working out?
Yes.
Holy Lord. He's still a beast. Absolutely.
So if you get Netflix, you get the fight.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it. But my prediction is I don't know if Jake Paul ever got hit by a professional boxer before,
yeah, good.
like Tyson, and I think Tyson can still throw.
Oh.
So we'll see. We'll see. What do you say? What is it? It's a different type of a fight, right? It's like how many rounds? Like 3 rounds?
Oh, really? It's only 3 rounds?
Yes.
And how long are the rounds?
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's not a 12-round heavyweight fight. That's my understanding.
I'm going with Paul.
You are?
Paul, okay.
What, he's got a longer reach, he's taller, right?
I think he's got more money.
I think he's concerned about the honesty of the fight. And so are others. So are others.
No, really?
It's like, well, my daughter says to me, well, isn't it better if one wins tonight, another wins the next fight, and then you have a third fight,
smart.
each one, everybody
rubber
getting
match.
15 million every single fight. So who knows? Could that happen?
Oh,
But
now
boxing was always such a
You
legit
just
sport.
ruined it for me.
If there's one sport that's never
Never legit.
right, that's the one.
Oh my God.
Last call?
Last call. Let's go to Sandra Miller from Green Acres, Florida.
Hey, Sandra.
It's the place to be.
Hi, thank you for taking my call.
Where is it?
Green
I live in
Acres.
it's Palm Beach County.
Yes.
We know.
Okay. I agree. I live in a condo association with the buildings being in sub-associations. In 2022, the master board decided to do a resolution so that they could become an HOA. But we're still under 718, but they're now following 720. Is that legal?
So it's not a question of what they want to follow. It's a question, what the form is. What are they actually doing? Do they have the right? Is every single unit a condominium that they manage? That they control?
They have the condos have their own presidents. There's like
No. I understand.
17 different
I understand.
condos.
But are there any HOAs that are
No.
under the master? Okay, so it's
No.
all condominiums. Does the master association have the authority to put liens on homes and foreclose on them if they don't
Yes.
pay? Okay, seems to me
Yes.
that it's a condo. You can't
It's a
call
condo.
yourself
That's
a
what
rabbit if
But
you're
they-
really a duck. Okay?
Wait a minute.
They
So-
did. They did a
Learned so much.
resolution, and I didn't know. But they didn't tell the homeowners that. The board did it themselves.
What does that mean? I made a resolution. Can I make a resolution that
They filed a resolution with the state, I guess.
Yeah, that
Does it
doesn't
have a
that means nothing. Okay, there's a whole bunch of
that's what I
things that
thought.
would need to be looked into, but the two main things that you look at are whether or not there are only condominiums that we're talking about. Does the master only control
Correct.
condos? Because if there was one home, then they couldn't call themselves a condo association.
Just one home.
But if there was one home, but there are no homes. So yes, they're a
No.
condo association so far, right? But if there was one home, they would be an HOA. But all condos,
Okay.
and they have the right to lien, you're a condo. Okay?
Okay.
So
Hope
Thank
that
you so
answers
much.
your question. Take care.
so
And I appreciated your. I went to the condo association
Oh,
in Palm Beach County.
Great. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What
Bye-bye.
can I say? I really appreciate everybody. We had a great show for a Friday night, the first one ever, huh?
gangbusters will be back on Sundays.
Had a lot of time. We'll be back on Sundays.
and
okay?
a duck is not
A rabbit, I
a
think I said.
rabbit.
Yeah.
And an emergency is an emergency.
Right. And you can't.
This is what we learned.
And you can't vote by email. You can't ratify an illegal act. A lot of stuff we
Oh,
talked
my
about
God.
today. Good show. Good show. Thank both of you for joining me on a
Sure.
Friday night. I appreciate it
Sure.
at a moment's notice. And thank all of you for tuning in on a Friday night. But the next time we'll see you is back to Sundays, okay?
Brunch with us.
Yes, right. Look forward to it, everybody. Have a wonderful, safe, healthy week. Enjoy the fight tonight. Have a great time.
If they need more help. Or...
Oh, yes, I left that out. If they need more help, please get in touch with Glazer and Sachs if you need help off the year. 954-983-1112. Again, 954-983-1112. Again, have a wonderful, healthy, safe week with you and your families. Take care.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks, Robert.